Brady Oliveira officially a game time decision for, well, the CFL game of the week. 2-0 BC Lions. Vernon Adams Jr. comes to town, take on Zach Collaros and the 2-0 Winnipeg Blue Bombers. What's going on, everybody? Welcome inside Game Day Winnipeg here on Bonfire Sports. If you're joining us over from Winnipeg Sports Talk, welcome. Appreciate you joining us. Let's bring in the big man himself, Chris Walby, the legend, the Hall of Famer. Bluto, what's going on, my friend?
Well, I'm enjoying life. I'm just hoping to get a little air conditioning in this house. I have to call up ring a couple old buddies and see if they can put a little Freon in that thing, because I tell you right now, boy, we are in a sauna in this house. I'm surprised I even got any clothes on. I should have done this show naked. It would have been all right.
Well, that's why I've got you so zoomed in on the screen, because just in case you're not wearing anything below the belly, right?
Oh, I got shorts on, buddy. I'm not Scottish.
You're not Scottish? Well, if it's not Scottish,
no.
it's crap.
There you go. Well, you're Scottish, right?
No, absolutely not. I think I got a little Scottish in the in-laws, though.
Yeah. I'm not going to touch that one.
Lots to get to on the program today. We'll talk about Brady Oliveira, game time decision, as I mentioned off the top. The BC Lions have some changes to their lineup. One of the best receivers in the league, Dominique Rhymes, out of the lineup for Thursday night. In comes Lucky Whitehead. He missed week 2 after getting injured in week 1. The former Blue Bombers electrifier brings his speed to IG Field once again. Chris, the big question going into this game, is this game going to tell us if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the class of the CFL? Is this the early season test between two teams that really do look like the two most legit teams through 2 weeks?
You know, normally I'd say yes if it was later in the year, DB, but I think because of the fact it's only the third game of the season, I don't think you can really get into that too much. I think when you listen to Coach Campbell, the BC head coach, he said, you know what, we're in a marathon, not a sprint. All you want to keep doing is getting better each week so that you peak at the right time, which is the playoffs and the Grey Cup. So no, it's a great matchup. It's a great game to watch. I mean, two outstanding football clubs. Vernon Adams Jr., who is playing lights out, versus Zach Collaros, who is well on his way to another MOP. He just does so many good things. But I've been really impressed, not only with the BC offense. I mean, you're right. You mentioned up top, Dominic Rhymes. The only one who's caught a touchdown from the BC Lions quarterback, Vernon Adams Jr., is Dominic. He has 3 touchdowns. So obviously the receivers that are left there, Hollins, McInnes, and all these other Whitehead, they're all going to have to pick up the pace to have any chance of letting Adams end that offense go. But then again, you look at the other side, buddy. I don't want to wrap everything up one day, but that BC defense looked pretty damn good. I watched the Edmonton game. And I mean, Edmonton's got issues at quarterback, I think, but still, they played well. Anytime you can shut out a team from not even getting a single point, pretty damn impressive.
No question. Let's take a look at the BC Lions depth chart here for their game on Thursday in Winnipeg against the Blue Bombers. The back end of this defense is really where I see the most talent, Chris. Gary Peters at boundary corner, TJ Lee at boundary half. As you see on your screen there we go. Now I got the little clicker going. Marcus Sayles. Well, we're very familiar with Marcus Sayles and his game-breaking ability at field side halfback. Ben Hladik has been very impressive at at middle linebacker. Here's Bo Lacombo, the CFL's reigning most outstanding Canadian at weak side linebacker. And then Woody Barron, Matthew Betts, David Menard leading the way on that defensive front. What do you see specifically, Chris, from this BC Lions defense that has got a lot of veterans on it, and they've been really, really good through 2 weeks?
Well, I think what they've done, I mean, obviously the coordinator has done a great job with these guys, get them to play together. I mean, obviously Phillips, who is the defensive coordinator, he was a heck of a football player in his own right. So he's got these guys gelling. They have a tough team that plays. They know the assignments. Didn't even mention the Tuhima guy, the other guy on the other side, Sione Tuhima. He's got a couple sacks. So, I mean, Matthew Betts, remember he started off when he was in Edmonton and never really lived up to the hype, starting to play well. Now, again, sacks are not indicative of everything. It's only 2 sacks. You still start giving the old all-star right now. But this BC defense is what I think is the strength of this football club. And I love watching a defense. It's only given up 7.5 points. Only one passing touchdown. They were this BC defense reminds me of the Bombers last year, where they didn't give up hardly anything to the air. I think they gave up like 7 or 8 rushing touchdowns all year. BC's, that's, I think, the strength of that team is that defense. It'll be interesting to see what the Bombers can do. I know you mentioned a big loss if they can't get Brady Oliveira in there. But, you got Johnny Augustine. And I guess if he doesn't go, then maybe bring up that McCready. I believe is his name. Will he play? I guess might bring him in. But, no, listen. I'm going to go way back to the question you asked me. Is it going to tell me anything about the team? If the Bombers blow the BC Lions out, absolutely. Do I expect that to happen? No, I don't. But stranger things have happened. The Bombers get stronger. I mean, think about it. 40 plus more offensive points than anybody in the league. I mean, 40, they're pounding the points. They're just, then you got a kicker. Old Sergio, boy, he's just 5 for 5 with a long of 50. He's kicking heck out of the ball. I like their
missed
punter.
A convert.
Yeah, he's doing. Yeah, I missed one. But hey, and speaking of that, it's nice to see that our old buddy Legs Legio got picked up in Hamilton. Nice kid. Sometimes a change of scenery is the best thing for a guy. He's close to hometown now, so it'll be interesting to see what he does there in a Ticat uniform.
Well, who was it was Paul McCallum. I think he was on 3 or 4 teams before he settled in and started his Hall of Fame level kicking in the CFL. Chris, we're going to hear from Zach Collaros. We got an interview that we're going to play. First time this year that we've done this, but you're going to hear from Zach Collaros, who had some kind of surprising self-assessment. He also talked about the Janarian Grant return and the team's play overall as they wait for the return eventually of Kenny Lawler. We're also going to get into my one-on-one conversation with Blue Bombers veteran safety Brandon Alexander. Had a great conversation with him and touched on a whole variety of topics. But the context that's important to remember when it comes to the BC Lions defense is, 1 touchdown allowed and 7.5 points or whatever, but they were up against a Calgary Stampeders team in week 1 where Jake Mayer and the offense looked incredibly vanilla. Kadeem Carey, the league's reigning rushing leader, went down to injury. They had Peyton Logan. They did not have Dedrick Mills in that game. They did in week 2, and he led the league in rushing in week 2 in the CFL. Dedrick Mills did. Heck of a player, and they got a lot of depth there. But it's just some important context to remember when it comes to BC's defensive performance through the first couple weeks. The Blue Bombers depth chart is out, Chris, and here is the biggest note. Brady Oliveira, game time decision. It's officially listed as a thorax injury. We talked about this on Bonfire midweek last night. What's a thorax? Well, anything outside of the arms and legs. It's the torso. It's the main body of Brady Oliveira, the Blue Bombers starting running back. So could they take Greg McCrae off the practice roster and have him here? I think they could in an emergency. But if Oliveira is a game time decision, they only have Johnny Augustine here, Chris. Does that maybe give you a little bit more confidence that he's going to be good to go?
Well, I think he'll be good to go, but if he doesn't even in there, I think that Johnny Augustine is one heck of a backup. He'd be a starter in a lot of teams.
But no backup for him, I'm saying, if Brady doesn't go.
Yeah, but if Brady doesn't go, Augustine is going to be the guy, right? I mean, obviously, I don't think.
But then no backup to him. That's what I'm saying.
That's true. Okay, I understand that. Yeah. So. Yeah, they're going to have to make a decision. He'll be, I guarantee after practice today, I heard he's walking through. A walkthrough doesn't tell me anything because they don't do anything. But I think he's going to wake up in the morning and he's going to talk to the coach and he'll talk to the athletic therapist and he'll say, how do you feel? Can you go? Be honest. And they'll bring him in for an assessment, see how he feels. Now, at that point, they'll make a decision. If he's not 100%, I wouldn't play him. I agree with you. I'd start Augustine and bring McCrae off the practice roster. That, to me, is the smartest move. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're game 3 in the season. Why risk losing a guy that, really was coming into his own week 1? So, I just think that we got depth, use it. That's what you have practice roster guys for. Bring them on. Let somebody get an opportunity to showcase what they can do.
Before we get into the Winnipeg Blue Bombers injury report, we got some notes on Demario Houston and Jackson Jeffcoat and Mike Miller and Jamal Parker and some others. Well, we got to, as we always do, talk about our good friends at Shannon's Irish Pub, 175 Carlton Street. You got to check them out. I got a couple notes here from their owner and head chef, Gerard. He wanted me to mention, and rightfully so, the venison and wild boar burger is still flying off the shelves. And by the shelves, I mean the shelf from the kitchen to the pub in downtown Winnipeg. It's got a blueberry compote and
Wow.
smoked cheddar, the venison and wild boar burger. Why have a regular cheeseburger when you can go to Shannon's and have something truly creative and super tasty? They are open Fridays for lunch, so you can head down there at noon. They got a 2-for-1 fish deal as well. And of course, as always, 21 beers on tap, all your favorites, eclectic atmosphere underneath the streets of downtown Winnipeg, 175 Carlton. That's just a quick slant down the block from True North Square. So go see our good friends at Shannon's Irish Pub. Chris, we've been talking, we might have a little Grey Cup party there this year. We'll see. We're cooking something up.
So. I want to say, you know what, I love when you get these comments. I love these guys coming on and saying everything. And there are a lot of these people that come on here have great football IQs. But I thought it was really interesting that one of the comments came from Bangkok. And I thought, wow, that's a great thing for a guy.
Pardon me? Oh, Thailand.
What?
Yes.
Thailand. What do you think I was talking about? Jesus, man. I have to come across the screen and give you Angela Mosca head slap.
I'll take it. I'll take it from you.
But I'll tell you what, I think that's so cool when you have people from, all around the world that are tuning into this, and we thank you for that.
Yeah, North Battleford, Saskatchewan, Daryl Brandel checking in. Tons of people watching live on YouTube and Facebook or checking out the podcast afterwards on really every podcast platform you got. So if you're there, be sure to leave us a review in your podcast app. That would be killer. Bluto would especially appreciate it. The legend Chris Walby, of course. And if you're watching live on YouTube and Facebook right now, hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Very surprised how many people, half of you out there, aren't subscribed. You just, search Bonfire Winnipeg on YouTube every week. Just hit subscribe and it's right there as soon as you open YouTube. That's what you got to do. But great to see everybody. John Campbell says 3-0. Here we go. Winnipeg is a 6-point favorite in this game, Chris. It helps a lot that they are, that they're the home team this week. But there are, the injuries are still piling up quite a bit. Let's take a look at them. Here they are. Tui Ellie, Cameron Lawson, still on the 1-game injured list. Ellie is not practicing, in case some of you were wondering. Teadric Hansen on the 6-game. Jackson Jeffcoat placed on the 6-game injured list last week, so he'll probably be a while with a lower body issue. Jamal Parker and Mike Miller, both on the 6-game as well, with Winston Rose and Kyrie Wilson. Most of those guys, outside of Mike Miller, have been there since the beginning of the season. So, Kenny Lawler, the other one too, Chris. Like when people say, "Where's Kenny Lawler?" Can he come back? Like, do they need him right now? Winnipeg scoring 40+ points a game. Zach Collaros throwing the lights out, and Brady's been very good in the run game as well.
Yeah, you're not right, and you hit about Demario Houston, who's not in the lineup, and Abu Darame Soare is going to get that started at that cornerback position. I think that'll be a very interesting test, going against guys like Lucky Whitehead, Justin McInnes, Alexander Hollins. Another kid is starting for the BC Lions is Aiden Eberhardt, first-year guy out of Wyoming. So, I mean, they've got some tall receivers that can go after the football. They have one guy we haven't talked about, and I'll talk about him too a little bit, is the running back they have. This Taquan Mizell.
Taquan Mizell, yeah.
Man, is he good. He not only catches the ball out of the backfield, but boy, can he break tackles. So I love it. It's a great matchup. This is what you want to watch. I mean, I'll tell you, there's no doubt in my mind Thursday night, you're in front of the TV, you're watching this. This is, it's got the makings of, these guys played the West Final last year, or West Semi. I can't remember which one it was.
West Final here in Winnipeg. Yep.
Oh, there you go. See, sometimes I got a good memory, but I was looking at the stats today. I was interested that the Bombers are 16-1, 16 wins and 1 loss in IG Field since 2021, and BC is 0. I think what I say 0. have lost 5 straight, including the playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
They last beat Winnipeg in 2017, a long time ago. So, I mean, again, those are stats. The stats are for junkies. Everybody wants to look at stats. That's what they want. But
Well, that all said, Chris, this BC Lions team, like, there's a lot of guys back, right? And I love the addition of Justin McInnes as a Canadian from Saskatchewan in free agency. He'll be at slot back next to Javon Cotoy. Nice, spot there. Hollins with Whitehead and Eberhard, as you mentioned. But offensively, especially, this is not this is Vernon Adams Jr. This is not Nathan Rourke, who was their starter every game last season. Well, I shouldn't say every game. Did have the foot injury late in the year. This is not Michael Riley, who started all their games the year before. So a third starting quarterback, but it is Jordan Maximit, who remains their offensive coordinator. He has been, frankly, magical when it comes to just game planning and finding a way to utilize 3 different quarterbacks and 3 different skill sets very, very effectively. It's been incredibly impressive to watch Jordan Maximit's build this BC Lions offense around whoever they got.
And the nice thing about it, too, is one of the little tidbits of information is that Vernon Adams Jr. has been in contact all the offseason with Maximic, working on game plans, what we want to do. Then he flew all the receivers out to his hometown, and he had a little mini camp where the guys would just hang together, go for a couple coolies, throw the ball around, get to know each other. I think they're building they're taking a blueprint from the Bombers as far as developing culture. If you listen to, I listened to a interview with Bo Lacombo, and I also listened to the one about Michael Couture, who's coming back, his former starting center for the Bombers offensive line. And he said the same thing. He said they're really developing. And I'm not surprised. Rick Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, reminds me of an older Michael O'Shea. They both have the same mentality of how they got to treat players. They want players to want to play there. They want to believe in what they're doing. And I think they've developed a good thing there. I mean, I think this team is going to be very good. I love the fact that they got Vernon Adams. I think a guy that is no slouch and is probably looking for an opportunity to get back on the field is his backup, Dane Evans, who, had a rough last year with the Ticats, and they finally had to say, we got to go, and they signed Bo Levi. Now Bo Levi is out. He's got a groin injury or something, so he's out. So they're going to go with Schlitz or whatever his name was, the backup quarterback there. But, yeah,
Schultz.
Interesting. Is that what his name is? I don't know.
Matthew Schultz, yeah. He's a good quarterback. I think Hamilton's going to be okay.
I think he was 7-9 when he came into relief. I was thinking of Schlitz because Schlitz is a beer in the States. I'm sorry, man. I got beer in the mind. You put Shannon's up there. What happens? I start thinking about different kind of beers. It's like you're teasing me, DB. Don't do that, man.
What? Schlitz gay was the old joke on Saturday Night Live, right? With Adam Sandler and Chris Rock and the swimming pool. Yeah. That's a good one. Go check that one out. You're already on YouTube, but no, you want to keep it here. Okay, so I had a conversation. You mentioned Taekwon Mizell on the BC Lions offense. I think that is a real critical piece to how they'll attack Winnipeg, because they can't let Jefferson and Haba and Walker and Thomas and Schmeckel and Bennett and the 6D line they have dressed for this game pin their ears back and go. They need to have a strong run game. I know Vernon Adams Jr. is mobile, but Mizell is very important. I had a conversation with Bo Lacombo, reigning MOC in the Canadian Football League. I'm going to put that up on the YouTube channel tomorrow, but really interesting story coming from Congo, formerly Zaire, through Montreal, now BC, and going from, the NFL to a special teamer to the most outstanding Canadian, a real anchor on that BC Lions defense. He'll be wearing number 20, heck of a player, and a great conversation I had with him. But I want to get into the conversation I had this week with Brandon Alexander of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense. We talked a little bit about Vernon Adams Jr., but more so his perspective as a guy who's been in the league a long time, Chris. He's been with the Blue Bombers a long time. And, the conversation starts off with me kind of poking fun at him, like, what's the kind way of calling calling a guy an old guy.
I guess you could say that if you want to. So, I mean, it is kind of crazy. I done grew up here, but yeah.
You've been for a while. How are you feeling in that sense, Brandon? Where, you know, you've been there, done that, not just once or twice, but a few times now, where comfortability probably doesn't even come into mind anymore when you think of Canada, the CFL, and, you know, maybe the way you thought of those things, you know,
a while
when you were
ago.
first in the league. Yeah.
I'm blessed at the end of the day. Like, I'm just blessed to be able to be out here. I have an opportunity. I'm blessed that, you know, the coaching staff and the players still want me here. You know, I'm blessed that, you know, that I get to stay here in my off season and, you know, and just be engaged and, you know, take everything in from here, from the winter and stuff like that. Like, I'm just blessed at the end of the day, and I'm happy. I'm happy, yeah, for sure.
Want you here. Come on. I'm sure the jewelry helps, the winning helps, right? When you think of Winnipeg and you think of your football team, when it is the middle of the off season, you know, you might be in Florida, maybe it's not as cold as it is here in Winnipeg, but I got people saying, you know, when the snow's blowing, I'm thinking about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and looking forward to the summer. You get those senses too in the middle of the off season?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the sense of, like, I'm ready to go back and play ball, you know, so stuff, especially like when it's in the middle, you know, you got, what's that, March. You know, when it's right kind of smack dab in that middle, like, it's just like, you know, it's time to get back, you know, especially being out here. So even last year, this all season that just passed, I was out here. I didn't go home, you know, and, you know, I hung out with a couple of guys and things like that, and it makes you miss it. And, I mean, you said one thing and to start this off, you was like, you know, it helps when you're winning. And the kind of piggyback off of that, it's not the fact that it's the win, it's just the culture and what was built here. You know, we got guys like Yoshi that seen me grow up here, and Stan that seen me grow up here, and, you know, Wally that came in with me, and Jeff Cook that came in with me, and a whole bunch of other guys that's just been in that locker room for a while and seen a lot of people just grow from the start. And that's what it is. It's real deal family, and it's a real tight-knitted group that, you know, whatever that you need at any point, whether it's on the field or off the field, everybody got your back.
I forgot you stayed here for the winter, so Good on you, man. Good on you. I want to talk about the defense, of course, but before we do, I want to ask you about your QB1. And, you know, you got quite a perch at the back of the defense at safety during practice. You're obviously watching closely when your team's offense is on the field. Have you seen a quarterback play at the level that you're seeing in Zach Collaros right now? This is the reigning two-time MOP. We know that. But it looks like he's on his way to a third with just the way he's composed back there and able to make some really special things happen.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a lot of special things out there for sure. Play at his level, I mean, I don't know because I wasn't their teammates or anything like that, but just going against practice, you know, every day and seeing it week in and week out and seeing the preparation that he puts into it, you know, inside the locker room and things like that. I mean, I can only speak for what he's been doing. And, I mean, if you want to be that person, you look after him and you see what he's doing because he's doing it all, you know, and it shows on the field. You know, it's way more work than what he does, but just to go against him every single day is just a privilege. And, I mean, we having battles. I mean, it's been numerous of times where he's got me, you know, a couple times where I get him, but, you know, I'm blessed to have him back there doing the, you know, running the show for sure.
So we got Janarian Grant over here, and I got to ask you about him quickly. Show everybody. Talk of the town, for better or worse in Regina, depending on what color jersey you are wearing as a fan. But what did you see on that return? People already saying that it could be one of the greatest punt return in CFL history.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really crazy. I mean, he did break like 9 tackles. I mean, and yeah, just straight arm, and, you know, everybody kind of, you know, talks to say like he's like kind of little in a sense or whatever like that, but he's very strong. You know, he's fast. Obviously he's fast, but, you know, for his size, he's very, very strong and a hard person to tackle, you know, out in space, or if you get contact with him. It's not like you can just throw him up with your shoulder and think that he's going to go down. No, he's going to keep running, you know. And also seen, you know, what is that? Just grit, relentlessness, and conditioning. You know, the fact that he could break all those tackles and, you know, cut across the field, which is already 65. You know, he basically cut 65 and then had to run an extra 70 more. that's conditioning to be able to keep that speed up like that. So, I mean, he's that guy.
The ball being behind him to start.
Yeah, I mean, that as well. He went back to go get it, had to turn his back to all the people that was running at him, and then turned around to make that play like that. I mean, that's pretty special.
So describe the sidelines when you guys see a play like that.
We just sitting there looking like we know that he can make a play. We got guys out there, and that's going to block for him at all times as well, too, because we know that he, if we put a body on a body, he's going to make a play. And then that was just one of those plays where it may not necessarily been a body on a body, and we're just sitting there like, okay. And then you hit the sideline, and it's like, wow. A lot of people going down, running down the sideline with him on, off the field, obviously, but, excited about it because, something like that you don't see every day.
Yeah. In the context of it all, too, being a 3-point ball game at that point in the third quarter to, where things finished up.
Yep.
Okay, I got to ask you about the defense, what you're seeing from the guys through the first 2 weeks, and what you're looking towards in facing the BC Lions. Vernon Adams Jr., their tailback, Taquan Mizell, new faces in a new place with the BC Lions, with a lot of those same receivers back again. What are you seeing in them?
Well, I'm seeing that they're making plays out there, and they're already gelling early together. BC has already been, a well-oiled machine for the last couple of years, and starting to piece it together. I can see from the first 2 games that they're playing that, they already hitting their targets, offensively and defensively, that they're hitting their targets, So, those guys are definitely, you can tell that they got really good camaraderie and, gelling real well together. So we know that's going to be a real fight, a big fight that's going to happen. And, those guys make plays. Vernon Allen make plays with his arm and his legs. He got guys out there, countless receivers to be able to make plays for him, even new guys that are stepping up, not necessarily new, but McGinnis, that came, from SAS and, being able to make plays over there and other guys, and they still have other people that's on the side like Hatcher that be able to come back at some point and even make more plays for him. The new running back looks pretty good and shifty and being able to run around are good. So, I mean, they're doing it. They're doing it right now, and we know it's going to be a good fight. And then from our guys, I mean, we're just putting it together, and I'm just seeing that everybody's stepping up at some point. Homie's looking really good back there and running around, and, Dez is coming along really well, and, Spook, Darby, and all those guys are going to be those guys. And I think even just rotational wise, and you can put anybody in. You still got Redder, you still got Ghost, which is Nick Howlett. He does a very good job when he gets in there, and guys just plug in and play guys, and guys are doing well. So we're just looking for this week just to bring it all together, just to try to hit our bullseye on every single play, and we know that we're going to get their best shot, and we'll be ready for it.
Before I let you go, you got to explain some of those nicknames. I know Spook is Dietrich Nichols.
For sure.
Who's Homie? Say Holmes?
Yeah, homie. Yeah, that's Holmes.
Oh,
yeah, homie.
Yeah, Holmes, yeah. Well, Evan Holm, homie.
Yeah, homie.
Well, it's kind of like a hockey nickname. They just add the IE to the back of it. Okay, I think I got them all.
For sure.
That's good. Thanks, BA.
Thank you.
Brandon Alexander, a little bit earlier this week, day one of practice there, Chris. Pretty cool conversation with one of my favorite guys to talk to in Brandon Alexander. Who would have thought Evan Holmes' nickname would be Homie? Makes sense, right?
I love listening to Brandon. He's so, he's so articulate. He's such a humble cat. I mean, that he's the premier at back there. He's the man that makes that secondary rock. And I mean, he's a guy that's also a big time hitter. It's great to have him back, laughing and having fun. Yeah, nicknames are cool. Homie for Holmes. I mean, I got the other guy on the other side, Habba Dabba Doo, is playing defensive end. That's
ADS.
Yeah,
the Bonfire starters. The Bonfire starters out there have been calling him ADS, Abu Darame Soiree.
Oh yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Habba.
Oh, Habba Dabba Doo, the Flintstones.
Habba Dabba Doo, son. Oh my God, you're so. I'm gonna have to say.
Well, you're talking about Homie, and you said the other side.
Holmes, and I said the other nickname is. That's what I said. But you went right off the left diving board to Abu Darami Soiree.
Yes, I sure did.
So,
sure did. Well, there is your Blue Bombers depth chart for week 3 with the BC Lions in town. Brandon Alexander at safety. Whoops. Get rid of that. Brandon Alexander at safety. Dietrich Nichols, or Spook is the nickname. Abu Darame Soare comes off the practice roster. Rookie, made the team this year in training camp. Demario Houston, personal issue. So he has been unable to practice and away from the team, as far as that is my understanding right now. But Evan Holm and Desmond Lawrence, these two remain the same. Chris, we've seen it before through the years, right? That, while Abu Darame Soare might be here on the depth chart, it doesn't mean that's precisely where he's going to play. Winnipeg could end up switching things up when it comes to the snaps on the field, right?
Well, it's interesting. He's a first-year guy out of Colgate, only 5'9", not a big target. You know what I mean? He's got great speed. Must have good hip movement as far as being able to change direction to get after these receivers. But yeah, big test for him on that corner. And you're 100% right, DB. They can put him at halfback, move him around, and if he has issues, I can see somebody coming back on the other side. You still got Nick Hallett who can come in there. You got Jake Kelly at backup safety, but I don't think he'll go in there. But you can drop a whole bunch of guys. Reddy Cramdy can go back and play somewhere. So the team and Richie Hall has that defense, and not to be a thing, but the more positions you can play, the better your opportunity to stay. So there's a little poetry for you.
Daryl Brandel, who's watching live on Facebook. What's going on, Daryl? Thanks for joining us again, along with everybody else out there. Great question. Why Abu Darame Soare instead of Brad Muhammad? Muhammad started 16 games for the Calgary Stampeders last year. He is in his third year in the CFL, signed just over a week and a half ago by the Blue Bombers. Him and Miles Fox signed at the same time. Fox has already been in a game. He comes out this week. But why not Brad Muhammad?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I think that has to do with just the fact of being comfortable with the defense, different schemes, making sure you put a guy there. Obviously, Soare's got a little bit more experience in the fact that he's been here through camp as opposed to only a week. And in a game like this, when you're playing against a team like the BC Lions, you want to give that guy every opportunity to be successful. And how to do that, you got to give him enough experience. So I think that's the only reason he's not playing. We'll see what happens going forward, but right now I would say it's just a lack of experience with our system, with Richie Hall's defensive secondary system. That's why he's probably not in there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Q-Man, who's watching live on YouTube, rookie corner going to get torched by Lucky Whitehead. Lucky does return to the lineup today or for Thursday, but he is somebody here. Just pulling up their depth chart here. Lucky is set to start at that boundary wide receiver spot. I don't know. Is it as easy as saying a guy like Lucky Whitehead is going to torch a rookie, or, hey, Abu Darame Soare is a pro football player for a reason. We haven't even seen him yet. Maybe a bit of an early assessment, saying Lucky's just going to torch him.
And the weirdest thing about that too, DB, is the fact that we just talked about, Soare maybe moving around, people playing different positions. Whitehead doesn't necessarily have to line up into wide receiver. He could go into the slot back. They can put Katoy out there. They can play around. If they're looking to get a matchup, I'm looking to get a matchup one-on-one with Whitehead with a linebacker. That's how I think you beat the Bombers. You get a matchup. You look for mismatches.
Like a slant.
Listen, Big Hill's a fantastic hitter, a great defensive player, first-round Hall of Famer. But if I can maybe get him matched up with somebody in a mismatch, whether it be Mazzell, the running back, or a guy with the speed of a Lucky Whitehead, you might be able to create a mismatch where they're able to exploit somebody who has superior speed.
Yeah, I think getting Taquan Mizell in a matchup against a Blue Bombers linebacker, Mizell at running back coming out of the backfield on a go route or on a skinny post or something like that, getting him some runway to take off. He is incredibly fast. That I'm a little bit more worried about than Lucky Whitehead, because everybody's going to be watching for Lucky Whitehead as kind of the premier receiver in this BC Lions offense. Keon Hatcher is on the 6-game injured list. Dominique Rhymes comes off the roster this week, and he's on the 1 game. Hatcher and Rhymes are two of the best receivers in the entire CFL, let alone the BC Lions. So it's nice they get Lucky Whitehead back. Hollins and McInnes and Katoy, that's great. I don't know too much about Eberhardt. we'll see what he brings. But
Yeah.
losing those two other guys is to me a little bit more of a hit.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, Ebart's a first-year guy out of a 6'2" receiver out of Wyoming. Obviously, getting a chance with the injury to Dominic Rhymes. But another thing that I want to just hit on right now, because you were talking about Mizell, the fact that they can play a little bit of pull the ball a lot. They're going to play a lot of games with Mizell and Adams. Really going to put a lot of pressure on the ends. I really believe that Jefferson and Haba at the other end are going to have to really make sure you stay in your rush lanes. You can't start taking chances with a guy that maybe, if you have a quarterback that's more stationary, not maybe as fleet as foot as Adams Jr., you can play games. You can line up, Jefferson inside. You can do a lot more twists with the defensive tackles. But when you started getting a guy that can get to the outside, extend plays with his feet, and make you pay for a mistake, you really got to make sure your ends stay outside. And as a tackle, that's pretty cool when you know that this guy basically is going to have to come to the outside and beat me around the corner. So it's going to there's a lot of games within the game, and that's one of the games I'll be watching tomorrow.
Bo Lacombo. Sorry about that, gang. Bo Lacombo told me this. Yeah, we're good. We're still here, everybody. Bo Lacombo told me this week about Taquan Mizell's speed. Brandon Alexander reiterated that. I see Brandon Alexander as such a key piece in this matchup. That's why I wanted to talk to him and why we got the conversation here on Game Day Winnipeg. But flipping to the other side of the ball, we've been talking about Vernon Adams Jr. and how good he's looked, Jordan Maximitz and the BC Lions offense and the rest. But it's Winnipeg's offense, quarterbacked by Zach Collaros, that has really knocked the socks off the CFL this season. They've scored over 40 points in each of their games, and Collaros has been the number one rated quarterback both week 1 and week 2 by Pro Football Focus. They just don't take the stats and lay them out there and say, oh yeah, Collaros leads the league in this, that, and the other. He's the top rated quarterback. They go play by play by play every game and grade every player based on snap to snap. So it's more than just a bunch of sacks or a bunch of tackles or a bunch of catches or a bunch of yards and touchdowns. Collaros has been the guy. And he had some very interesting things to say this week at practice. So let's hear from QB1, Zach Collaros.
I just think it's complementary football. There's times where, we might be struggling to score and our defense, bails us out. That's happened many times that I can think of over the years. And there's other times where you're getting to games where you get to score points. So I don't think it makes it any more meaningful. It's just really for us, just about the next play and executing.
Adam Bighill called right away Janarian Gratz kick return a play of the year candidate. What did you see there, and have you seen many quite that spectacular?
Yeah, I think I said it afterward. I played with Brandon Banks. I've been around some really special returners, but that one, Janarian just over the last 3-4 seasons his body of work of returns is just unbelievable. But I would put that one up against pretty much any of them. We were just standing there on the sideline, just kind of in awe of the entire moment, and fortunately he got a return, so it didn't take away from that moment for him. But he's just unbelievable. He's so strong. The fact that he could finish that, he probably ran like 200 yards in that play, right? So he's just an unbelievable player.
How much better can this offense even get, considering you guys are still missing Kenny Lawler?
I think we can get significantly better. It's early in the season. I think I could play a whole lot better. There's plays that, got away with an interception there in the fourth quarter. Some decisions on where to go with the football, holding on to the ball too long. All those different things from my perspective. And the receivers, I'm sure, would say the same thing, whether it's, just basic alignment things, how they ran their route versus certain leverage. And those things you can always build upon. There's games where you feel like it was a perfect game. There's always things you can nitpick. But yeah, we have a lot of room to grow. We're excited about it. Obviously, Kenny's around. It'll be really awesome.
Yeah, no kidding. Getting Kenny Lawler back would be pretty awesome, in the words of Zach Collaros. But I don't know about you, Chris. I'm always so impressed with Zach Collaros because he just does not rest on his laurels and he does not settle. He was critical of his own play. He feels, despite being far and away the best quarterback in the league right now, based on, resume and his play through weeks 1 and 2, he says he can play a lot better than he already has been.
Always been making fantastic decisions with the football. Yeah, he's a little upset with the fact that obviously he held on to that ball and that botch kind of handoff, the little trickery play, and it got returned for a touchdown. There's things that I think that he's doing extremely well. He's very humble, but I know he's a firecracker, and by what I mean is he wants to win. We've talked about this every podcast, every game we do, is he's a winner. He wants to bring everybody out about him. This is a great point too, Patrick Adamek. You're right. So the O-line was the last 2 weeks have also been rated very highly. Last week, the top lineman was the first game against Hamilton. The top lineman was Jamarcus Hardrick. You know who the top lineman was this week? It was Chris Kolinkowski. He was number 1. Hardrick was 2. So, I mean.
Well, and BC, then they also graded, sorry to interrupt, they also graded the entire O-lines, and it was the BC Lions O-line in week 1, and it was the Blue Bombers O-line in week 2 as the best unit for that week.
If you watch with the Bombers offensive line, I thought they had a spectacular game against Saskatchewan. I thought they played extremely well from one side to the other, from Stanley to Hardrick. I thought Jeff Gray played well, Newfie. I thought they all played extremely well, and the backs picked up the blitzes. They just did a great job. And I know that I was listening to an article by O'Shea, and he was talking about the offensive line coach, how pickled he was, pleased with how the play of this offensive line. I didn't want to say he's pickled. Don't get me mistaken. Pickled with happiness. So, well, yeah, it's crazy, man. They're and that's what makes me wonder sometimes. I don't want to put the curse, but you almost don't want to say, hey, you don't want to peak too early, right? And you're wondering, I mean, how much better can this team get? As you say, 41, 47 points. Now all of a sudden, I mean, can they throw 40 a game? I think so. I mean, when we played in 87, Tommy Clemens was our quarterback. We were outscoring everybody as well. I mean,
but was 40 points as common?
No. I don't think we had many. I think they're very special when you can put that many points on. Obviously, you also have to figure out they got a contribution from Janarian Grant. And I love the fact that when you're doing an interview with Brandon Alexander, he's talking about Janarian there. And I noticed there's a little competition in there because I was reading an article and Henry the Gizmo Williams, legendary returner, says, yeah, it was good, but I still think I'm the top guy. So, I mean, I love the competition, even from a retired guy. And listen, I tried to chase Gizmo one time, and I just counted cleats. He went past me faster than I don't know. He went fast. I couldn't even fall out of bed that fast. That's how fast he went by.
Are you telling me you were on cover teams?
I was on cover team, yeah.
No
field
way.
Goal. Oh, remember, field goal, right? So we missed a field goal.
Yeah.
Got to go down and cover. And I remember I got the angle on this puppy. I'm chugging. All 6'7", 350 pounds. And I'm like, hey, baby, you're cornered. I got him like a mouse in a trap. And he takes one step and whoop, next thing I know, he's 60 yards downfield. I'm just trying to get out of the film now. I'm trying to get away so the eye in the sky doesn't pick me up getting beat so bad. So listen, those guys with incredible speed and not just speed, strength. Did you see how many tackles Janarian, he used his, he basically knocked a couple guys down. So
3 straight arms.
You want to see, I know, hey, Waiters 27. I know we said we need footage of Walby chasing Gizmo. No, you don't. No, you do not want to see that.
Waiters wants it.
I was a 5'2", 40, so I could run a little bit, but man, I tell you what, I was in no way even in the same class as a Gizmo.
That's incredible, though. That is incredible. Chris Walby, the legend, the CFL Hall of Famer, Canadian Football Hall of Famer, joining us here, as he always does on Game Day Winnipeg. Lions, Bombers, 2-2 versus 2-2, and we're going to get a very clear picture of the pecking order in the West and really in the CFL on Thursday night when things wrap up. And when things wrap up at the Madhouse on Matheson, 30,000 plus expected to be on hand on a beautiful night in southern Manitoba. It's going to be cooler. It's going to be less sunny. It's going to be ideal conditions for the fans and for those guys on the field. When it all wraps up, game day after dark, your post-game destination. Check it out live. Check it out later. Podcast will be up as well. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and your favorite podcast apps. Spotify and, oh gosh, you name it, Apple and Google and the rest. So looking forward to that. Chris, let's get into your keys to the game and what Winnipeg needs to do on Thursday night to ensure that they remain the class of the CFL and they don't get, swept away, swept under the rug a little bit by the BC Lions, who've been playing some good football.
Yeah, I think these teams match up so well. They're basically 1 and 2 in almost all the stats. We look at all the stats. But the biggest thing is, I think, for defense, I think you got to keep a guy like Vernon Adams inside the pocket. This guy can beat you with his legs. He can extend plays. He takes off with the football all the time. He's going to get quick read, and he's gone. Then you got Mizell, so they can start playing the game where he gives them the ball, takes it back. You play a little bit of dunking thing, a little screen passes. So defense, I think it's really coming down to making sure you keep Vernon in the pocket. Offensively, listen, the way this team is playing, man, is just keep doing it. I mean, the 6 receivers almost every game. They're spreading the football around. And I really love what the offensive coordinator, Buck Pierce, is doing. He comes up with new wrinkles every week. I'm excited to see what new wrinkle he's going to do this game. And on special teams, hey, listen, what a game to watch. Now you got the guy that I think is he's got 10 career return touchdowns already for the Bombers, Engineering Grant. And they have a guy on the other side, Terry Williams, who can take it to the house all the time too. So you got 2 great returners. It comes down to kicking. Hey, let's talk about that. Sean White, 5 of 6 last week. Then you got Castile, 5 for 5 at along a 50. Both teams, I don't see the weakness. I saw some comments saying that, the BC defensive line is not as strong. But they get after you. They get after you. So I'm looking forward to it, boys. And I mean, you could go on keys all day, but I think those 3 things would be a thing. And in general, Tom, Wally could do a better flip than the gives. I think you should change the I and put a better flop than the gives, because I would just basically, yeah. You remember Miles Grell?
Of course. I
told the story, but that guy, Miles Grell, 6'8", could do a handstand and walk the stadium stairs on his hands.
No
I'm not
way.
kidding you, man.
At 6'8" and 300 plus?
Yeah, and walk up the stairs on his hands. I mean, he was just a freaky athlete. I always thought Miles was just one of the best athletes I ever played with. Plus, he was a hell of a good drinking partner. So that's another bonus. You can get there, DB, with little work. You can definitely join my club.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But if I do want to have 1 or 2 or 3, I'm going to see our good friends at Shannon's Irish Pub. The wild boar and venison burger, blueberry compote, smoked cheddar, awesome sides, awesome fries. I say it every week. Their wings are off the charts. 21 beers on tap, tons of local choices as well. Torque and Trans-Canada Brewing and a lot of great stuff there, as well as your domestic and import favorites. Go check them out. 175 Carlton Street. A quick slant down the block from True North Square, under the streets in downtown Winnipeg. You won't regret it. Go check them out. ShannonsIrishPub.ca. Are you going to the game, Chris? You going to be there?
No, you know what? I gave away some tickets to. I just had my pool done, and so one of the treats I said to these guys who were working in this crazy weather is I said, "Hey, listen, guys, not only are we going to supply you some Coolies, but how about you guys get a chance to go to the game?" So I gave my tickets to them to watch the game. I thought it was a great opportunity for them, and you know what? It's just a small token to say thank you, man. But yeah. I'll be there during the year. You're definitely going to be there. I will be right by the screen, buddy, watching that game wherever I am. If I'm at the lake at home, I'll be watching that game. I think it's going to be great. And I want to say something right quick. Man, these comments are funny. You guys make me laugh. God bless you guys. I love that Rob Mahoney must have been a heck of a job finding shoes for those hands. I mean, the comments are great. You guys keep it up. It makes me want to do this show because I love you guys and I love, getting all the feedback. And I know that After Dark's the #1 show, but that's okay, brother. I can live with that.
Well, it's the
I
number
can
one
take
show
that
because
risk.
you tune in. That's why.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you're
right.
there.
No, I have a fun. I just set the stage. I'm like kindling for the big fire after dark. I just kind of sprinkle a little
There
kindling,
you go.
and then
You're
your boy comes in there and they take it to the hoop, and then they go, Walby,
yeah. You
your
get the
show's okay.
sparks. You get the sparks flying. You're the ignition.
After
It does
dark.
not happen without you, Chris.
It's kicking. Walby, you still there? It's kicking after dark. I'm just kidding, boys.
It's going
always
to be
a pleasure
fun.
to be.
Yeah. So game day after dark. We'll see you after the game. Bonfire midweek on Wednesday. We'll recap week 3, look ahead to week 4 as we always do. But Chris, I couldn't go to a Blue Bombers game. I couldn't cover a Blue Bombers game without getting you here on Game Day Winnipeg to get your
Appreciate that.
unmatched perspective on it, and maybe most importantly, your personality. So thank you.
Well, I have fun, man. It's always a pleasure, DB. It's always a pleasure. Like I said, go blue. I'm looking forward to this game. Uh, I love when you get two top teams going at it, and both division rivals, both 2-0. You can't ask for a better third game of the season, man. And weather, as you mentioned, going to be great. Not going to be so crazy hot. And we'll have to see what happens, man. So may the best team win, but I still think it's going to be Bombers by 11 points. I don't know why.
Whoa. Ooh.
I'm going away for it. I'm going by
You heard it
11.
here
I don't know why.
first.
I just think the Bombers defense or Bombers offenses, I think they're just too bloody powerful.
Even without Brady Oliveira. We don't know, but if he can't go, I agree. I don't think it matters much.
No. And I'm really happy that this kid he's designated American, or Damian Jackson, who's getting an opportunity, this veteran of military service. We'll have to get him on, talk about him, because what a great story, eh? I mean, a guy is ex-military coming back and now making the team. So
not just ex-military, a Navy SEAL.
You know how hard it is to be a SEAL?
Unbelievable.
I mean, if you ever watched the TV show, and I know we're dragging a little bit, that's okay though. They had a show on how to become a SEAL, and they had these people laying in chilly waters, and they're trying to break you. They basically mentally try to break you, and only a very few, the proud, whatever the motto is, to make the Marines, make a Navy SEAL. So I mean, I think that's crazy too. So anyway, I'm happy to see you play, buddy. Thank you for your service, and I hope you have a great game. And Tanner. Cadwaller, you keep going, buddy. He's leading the league in special teams tackles with 5, so I thought I'd give you a little pump there too, bud. All right, DB, I gotta go. I hear somebody calling in the backyard.
Enjoy, Chris. Have a great week. We will see you next time. Everybody out there, we'll see you next time as well.
Okay, buddy. See you guys. Adios, amigos.